After 2 years, Marvin began dating again and found someone nice, gentle, and easy to talk to. They shared meals, laughed, and took long walks together. When Marvin lost his wife at age 69, everyone around him gave him the same advice: "You're still young enough to find someone new." It made sense and seemed comforting. But as time passed, an unforeseen event occurred. The peaceful happiness Marvin had discovered in his solitude started to fade. His routines altered, his sleep suffered, minor arguments escalated into larger ones, and for the first time in years, he found himself experiencing tension rather than companionship. When he eventually took a step back and decided to be by himself once more, he said something that stuck with me. "When I was alone, I didn't feel lonely. When I had to sacrifice myself to make someone else happy, I felt isolated." The reality that isn't discussed enough is that for some individuals over 65, choosing to be single is not a depressing result. Our society celebrates love tales and long-term relationships, and for many, those relationships hold great significance. It's a smart choice. It's about choosing rest, choosing tranquility, and choosing oneself, not about giving up on love. Later in life, being single might bring freedom and stability rather than loneliness. It may entail waking up every day without anyone to make concessions to or anxiety weighing heavily on your chest. It is the very thing that enables many elders to flourish. Today, we'll look at 7 compelling arguments for why remaining single after 65 can not only be preferable, but also the greatest course of action for your heart, happiness, and health. Stay with me for the 7th reason. It's the one that nobody discusses, but it has a bigger impact than you might think. Let's start with the first justification: conflict-related mental stress. Relationships, especially early ones, are fraught with tension and miscommunications, regardless of how compatible two people appear to be. Conflicting behaviors, disparities in perspective. These difficulties seem like a natural aspect of learning and development when we are younger, but after the age of 65, things take a different turn. What used to feel like a small argument can now reverberate through your body and mind for days. Your energy level has decreased, and your capacity for drama runs thin. Many older folks discover that they are more severely impacted by emotional stress now than they were in the past. As you age, your neurological system slows down. It takes longer to recuperate from stress, your sleep becomes more brittle, and the emotional toll of constant arguments, no matter how minor, can cause weariness, anxiety, and even melancholy. Take for instance Edith. After living alone for 10 years, she was 73 when she started a new relationship. At first, it was exciting because she loved having someone to talk to at dinner and go for walks with in the evenings. However, conflict soon arose, and she found that his frequent phone calls were overwhelming. What started out as affection turned into control, and the stress of defending her boundaries brought back old wounds she thought she had healed. After 6 months, Edith ended the relationship, describing the relief as being like getting a full night's sleep after years of tossing and turning. Lost family disputes or partner disputes. Although companionship may seem comfortable, it should never come at the expense of your inner peace, because a new relationship may unpredictably bring up previous traumas. There will be fewer emotional roller coasters and emotional landmines if you remain single. For many people, that transaction is not just worthwhile, but also a lifesaver in the face of two financial difficulties. It is choosing serenity over confusion and quiet over pressure. While love may be blind, money rarely looks the other way and always sees clearly. As we age, our financial situation becomes more than just a sheet of numbers. It becomes a symbol of stability, security of medicine, peace of mind, and a legacy for future generations. When a spouse enters the scene, financial lives are frequently combined, which can swiftly transform a tranquil retirement into a demanding balancing act at age 30 or 40. If you have time to make money, recuperate, and repair your relationship, financial difficulties may be bearable. But after age 65, the stakes are different. Your margin for mistake is significantly lower, your assets have been meticulously safeguarded, and your income is probably fixed. A new companion could bring financial burden, debt from credit cards, disparate spending patterns or expectations on joint costs if you're not on the same page. Even something as seemingly straightforward as going grocery shopping together might cause conflict. After losing his wife, Roger, 68, learned this lesson the hard way. He got back in touch with a high school friend, they became fast friends, and she moved in a few months later. Over time, Roger saw that his savings were depleting more quickly than he had anticipated, despite his generosity in purchasing new household things, dinners, and brief holidays. Because of her upscale tastes, his partner thought they would divide the expenses 50-50ths. But her contributions never really showed up. She was offended when Roger eventually came up to her. Rose was tense, and what had started off as comfort evolved into subdued animosity. Financial entanglements can impact anything from social security benefits to tax levels, so it's not just about spending. If they officially remarry, some seniors run the risk of losing their pensions or health insurance. Others are forced to have uncomfortable discussions about inheritance, particularly when adult children are involved. The boundaries are rapidly blurred, and what was intended to be joyful instead invites misunderstanding. You have complete control over your financial situation if you decide to remain single. You are free to donate, save, or spend as you like. You don't have to justify every choice or haggle over every buy. You put a lot of effort into becoming independent, and keeping your money apart may be the thing that keeps you calm. Let me know you're here by leaving a number 2 in the comments section. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button and turn on the bell to ensure you don't miss any videos. We are so grateful for your support, which enables us to continue providing you with insightful and motivational content. We now go to the next justification. Over the years, 3 losses of regularity and personal space have shaped our lives around what suits us. The time of day we choose to nap or go for a stroll, the news station we trust, and the cup of tea in the morning. Even though these rituals are simple, they establish a rhythm that helps us stay grounded and provide us with a sense of identity, comfort, and control, especially as we age and our surroundings change. However, those routines are frequently the first to change when a new partner enters the picture. For more than 10 years, 70-year-old Louise had been living alone. She enjoyed getting up early, sitting in her garden with a journal, and then spending the afternoons reading or crocheting. Her days were deliberate and leisurely. She was optimistic when she started seeing someone new. They spent weekends together before eventually combining their residences. He liked to sleep in, so that's when the tension began. Rearrange your kitchen without asking permission and turn up the TV in the morning. The piece she had been working on for years felt suddenly invaded. She claimed that I didn't understand how important they were until my small routines were no longer mine. Not all disruptions of this nature are dramatic. Though modest, it has a profound impact. You discover that you must share your calendar, refrigerator, and remote control once more. While compromise is a necessary component of any relationship, for many seniors it starts to feel like a loss of autonomy when you have to compromise on everything from what to put in the laundry basket to what to eat for supper. When you choose to remain single, you preserve that space. You wake when you want, you eat when you want, and you don't have to plan your life around someone else's needs or moods. Personal space isn't just about square footage. It's about autonomy, the ability to go about your day without adjusting to someone else's preferences, and to spend your time exactly as you please without apology or explanation. For many older adults, that kind of quiet freedom is more joyful than continuous companionship, which could never justify a greater responsibility of caregiving. Eventually, although the want to care for a loved one is natural, it's crucial to understand the toll it can take, especially when you're in your later years. Almost every senior must deal with the reality of diminishing health, either their own or someone else's. Entering a relationship after age 65 may seem like a happy move, but if your partner's health starts to deteriorate, you may find yourself in the position of caregiver. Although caring is a worthwhile endeavor, it is not an easy one. It can be emotionally and physically taxing as well as silently isolated. What began as a romantic relationship may eventually turn into a full-time duty for which you are unprepared or ill-equipped. Ruth, George's partner, and George, 76, met at a church event. After only 4 months of living together, they became close. But within a year, Ruth's mobility deteriorated. George found himself taking care of her medicine, making all the meals, cleaning the house by himself, and assisting her with bathing. He felt worn out on the inside, yet he never complained. He stopped going to the community center events he used to like, his blood pressure increased, his sleep quality declined, and the tranquil retirement he had dreamed of gradually vanished beneath the weight of ongoing responsibilities. This is not to suggest that providing care is improper or undeserving. For many, it is a labor of love. However, if you take on caregiving without planning and without preparation, it can result in burnout, particularly if your own health is already compromised. Remaining single is a recognition of your limitations, not a rejection of compassion or care. It entails realizing that your energy is limited and valuable, and that your body and mind need greater care as you age. Many seniors choose to remain unmarried in order to preserve their remaining years of good health and avoid the emotional toll of witnessing a partner's decline. Being independent at this point in life is a sign of wisdom, not selfishness. Setting limits before they are put to the test and acknowledging that you can choose convenience over effort are 2 ways to keep your peace. Silence over the crisis. Tell me you're here by leaving a number 4 in the comments section. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button and turn on the bell to ensure you don't miss any videos. We are so grateful for your support, which enables us to continue providing you with insightful and motivational content. We now go to the next justification. 5 concerns with inheritance and family conflicts. Later life relationships impact not only the couple, but also the entire family, and things may rapidly get problematic when adult children are involved. Whether this perception is accurate or not, it can lead to difficult-to-heal rifts, since a new partner may be perceived as a danger who is taking over financially or emotionally. Many elderly people say that their offspring react negatively or icily when they decide to start dating again, particularly after a spouse dies. Some people are concerned that a new spouse will have an impact on financial decisions, wills or property. Some worry that their parents are no longer giving them the same attention. These worries aren't always justified, but they are real. At a neighborhood book group, 66-year-old Martha met a retired professor. Although they loved history and travel and spent peaceful afternoons together, Martha's mention of him to her 2 sons was met with silence. Her sons started to doubt her choices as a result of the stillness that eventually turned into distrust. Her aspirations, her health, and her finances. Ultimately, the strain reached a point where Martha abandoned the relationship to make peace with her family. Silently, she added, "I never thought that finding joy again would cost me the closeness of my children." Problems with inheritance might make matters even more difficult. If you marry later in life or live together, your assets are legal, If you don't plan, your partner can mistakenly inherit a portion of your estate. After you're gone, your family could feel deceived or horrified, and these unresolved issues frequently endure far longer than the relationship itself. Many of these landmines can be avoided by remaining single, which also helps you keep clear boundaries between your personal and family lives, preserves your heritage, and lessens the emotional strain that comes with combining families later in life. You've lived your entire life, developing connections with your community, children, and grandchildren. Sometimes deciding to live alone in your personal life is necessary to preserve those ties, not out of fear, but rather out of love and foresight. Sixth reason: decreased freedom and self-reliance. The option to get up when you want to, spend a day in peace if you want to, travel without checking in, have cereal for dinner, or rearrange the living room are all examples of the quiet independence that comes with growing older, and that many people don't discuss, but that you genuinely value. This independence isn't just wonderful, it's sacrosanct after years of caring for others, working full-time, and raising children. However, it frequently changes when you enter into a relationship, especially later in life. Compromise is introduced. You take into account the wants, requirements, and schedule of another person, and even when you do it out of love and with the greatest of intentions, that change may begin to seem restrictive. You mourn the freedom you once defended as the spontaneity wanes and the flexibility contracts. When Walter, 74, started dating again, he had recently retired. His partner didn't share his fantasy of taking lengthy train excursions through the countryside and spending weeks visiting old pals in far-off villages. She hated flying, enjoyed routines, and preferred to stay at home. In a matter of months, Walter was feeling irritated, cutting back on his plans and skipping vacations. He said, "I wasn't angry with her. I was upset with myself for letting go of some aspects of my developing self." That is the silent threat. At 65, 70, 80, you've earned the right to prioritize your time, space, and direction, and often the only way to preserve that freedom is to walk the path alone. This compromise, not control or conflict, gradually erodes the joy of living life on your terms. Choosing to stay single does not imply living alone. Rather, it means creating a life that reflects your values, pace, and passions. You can still cultivate relationships with friends, family, and yourself, and you can still love deeply and meaningfully. Your time becomes your own again, which is, for many, the purest form of peace. To let me know you're here, leave a comment with a number 6. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the button and turn on the bell so you never miss a video. Your support is greatly appreciated and enables us to continue providing you with insightful and motivational content. Let's move on to the next reason. 7 pressures to settle for the wrong reasons. Fear of loneliness, fear of being judged, and worry of running out of time are some of the most prevalent, yet silently painful, reasons why some seniors start dating new people. If they don't say yes now, they may never have another chance. Society tells us that being partnered is the goal, that being alone, especially as we age, is a failure. So we settle. We lower our standards. We tell ourselves maybe this is as good as it gets. And in doing so, we end up in relationships that are lukewarm, uncomfortable, or even harmful. Barbara, 69, met a man through a senior dating site. He was polite, punctual, and seemed eager for commitment, but deep down, Barbara knew she didn't feel a strong connection. He didn't make her laugh. He didn't really understand her, but she said yes anyway, because all her friends were partnered, and she didn't want to be the last one alone at the dinner table. After 6 months, she felt more alone than she had ever felt outside of a relationship. That's the trap of choosing to be afraid instead of choosing to be strong. When you let fear make your decisions, You shrink instead of expand. You build your life around someone else. Comfort instead of your own truth. And no matter how peaceful or well-intentioned these kinds of relationships are, they eat away at the joy of your later years. But here's the truth. Most people don't speak out loud. Staying single after 65 can be one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It allows you to focus on self-discovery over passion projects over healing. It allows you to grow in ways that relationships sometimes make difficult, and most importantly, it teaches you that peace is not something that someone else gives you. It's something you create for yourself. If a new relationship comes along and adds to your life without taking anything extraordinary from it. But if it doesn't, you have the right to say no because you're not bitter. Because you're finally learning that what's really important is that there's a quiet power in solitude, not the kind that isolates, but the kind that liberates us as we age. We begin to see things more clearly. We realize that time is a finite energy, and the value of our day depends less on how full our calendar is, and more on how full our heart feels when we're alone. Being single after age 65 is not a tragedy. It's not a last resort. It's not an admission of failure. For many, it's the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with intention, calm, and self-respect. It means waking up without tension, moving through your day without compromise, and falling asleep knowing your peace is protected. We've talked about 7 reasons today. The emotional toll of conflict, the messiness of finances, the loss of routine, the caregiving burden, and the tension with family. The quiet loss of freedom and the pressure to settle. Each one is real. Each one deserves consideration, and if even one of them spoke to you, you're not alone. You're not broken. If you choose solitude, you're wise, you're strong, you're choosing clarity over chaos, peace over performance, and that decision deserves to be honored. So take a deep breath tonight. Ask yourself not what others expect, but what your soul truly needs, and if the answer is stillness, simplicity and sovereignty, embrace it fully. See the next video. Until then, may your space be quiet, your heart be full, and your peace remain untouched by pressure.